or anything fancy like that. I have a master's degree in teaching, if anything else. So what I've done is I've taken my knowledge of teaching and I've shown other businesses how to use that. So you don't have to sit there and tell me, hey, look, I don't think I could do it because I don't have the degree to do it. I don't have the fortitude. One of the people I was just with today is a client. She's 80 years old, and I'm showing her how to use Pinterest and just learning how to type it and spell it, and she's an amazing person. But she could barely type on the computer. I'm showing her how to use Pinterest so she could actually market her business, having to worry about typing. She could actually just show pictures. So if she could do it, I'm sure you can too. So with that being said, what am I going to show you? Well, I'm going to show you three methods. The first method that we're going to talk about today is blogging. And I talk about blogging because this is really what I call my greatest lesson with online marketing. For those of you who've ever had a blog, it's something that teaches you day in and day out. I blog every single day, or at least 5 to 6 days a week for about almost 3 years. I stopped at the end of the year and I said, okay, I'm going to blog 3 to 4 times a week now versus every single day like I used to. And the reason why I had wrote over 900 articles on various different social media, blogging, internet marketing topics. And I was starting to get to the point where I really couldn't create great content anymore. It was sort of just becoming more of a chore. And it sort of wasn't as helpful to my clients if I was doing it every single day. But I did it every single day for 3 years. And the reason why I did that was because every day I would learn something new. I would develop a new tool, develop a new skill. And while I was doing that, I was developing massive amounts of traffic. I had over 200,000 visits in 2 years on my blog. It was really an amazing experience, and I got to see a lot of what was going on there. And one of the things, the biggest thing that I learned as I started going throughout this process was that you really have to create a funnel for this. When I first started, I had a blog and I had a little email web form in the side of on the widget, which is barely even visible above the fold, which is you're supposed to have your website, your email form visible above, people could see it right away, and it was barely visible. What I started realizing was that if I create a better lead generation funnel, I'll be able to help clients and get more business from that. So what I started to do was I started using software like OptimizePress, WordPress, Aweber, putting it all together, putting up YouTube videos, and you see videos like the one you see here. And basically what I started doing is I turned that blog traffic into opt-ins, and I started building my email list. One of the biggest regrets that I have about my business is that I didn't start building my email list because I know I could get a lot more opt-ins if I had just focused a lot more time on that at the beginning. But that's okay. You know what? You live and you learn. And one of the things that I've seen is that the power of that email list, the more people that are on that list, the more you grow your business. Because that list, with the right people and the qualified traffic, it does amazing things for your business. So before I go too much farther, I just want to find out how many people in this room right now actually have a blog. Because I'm sure I'm probably not telling anything dramatically new with saying, hey, you should blog. You probably heard that, but I just want to get an idea of what the experience level is of people who have been blogging. And so I'm going to just go into the questions. So Brad has one. Does anyone else? Can everyone still hear me, by the way? I'm just going through the chat here. Yes. Okay. You're not consistent and not focused with it. Before I go on, can I ask you, Tony, why are you not focused on it? Is there a reason why? Or not? It's okay. You have a blog, but you only have one written post. Okay. And one of the things with blogging is that, and this is the biggest misconception, this is part of the reason, so I'm hearing that people are, you're too busy. Okay. The truth comes out. Okay, that's fine. Part of the thing with blogging that you have to get into a rhythm. And I know a lot of times when you're working on stuff, uh, Brad knows Brad knows Josh Alexander, and he's a business partner of mine as well. And one of the things that he says, and I completely agree with them, is he talks about the word focus. Follow one course until successful. With blogging, for me, it became habit. Every single day, when I woke up, I'd wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, I'd start writing my blog post. I could not go get up in the morning some days without writing a post because it was so ingrained that this is the first thing I have to do. If I don't do that, I don't know what I should do to start off my day. It would actually weird out my entire day because I'm like, I don't really know what I could do right now. So you sort of turn it into a habit, and it's something that you can do every single day. Now, I understand that you're saying you're too busy, but let me ask you something. Is there something else that you're doing besides for that? And I know we're going to talk about some other methods as well, because blogging is not the only method here. So is there, if you're too busy doing that, are you busy marketing other ideas? Several irons in the fire. Okay, cool. Perfect. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave it at that unless someone has any questions real quick on blogging. I know this is one of the basic ones. It's one of the really big ones for me. Okay. Helping out the kids is definitely a good thing. So, okay. Okay. Well, just the networks I've been able to create with other bloggers, first of all. There's so many different groups that I belong to where I've created professional relationships. Some of them have become referral relationships. Some of them have I've actually had a number of blogging clients. There's a relationship with other bloggers, first of all, that you get to create. You're in that industry because part of it is that no one wants to just be pushed products to. So you get to build those relationships with other bloggers, people who could actually promote what you're doing. The second thing that I would say is that I built a lot of my lists. I look at my page. I hit 1,000 fans on my Facebook page at the beginning of January, end of December. And I'll be honest, I really have never been that active on Facebook in terms of my fan page. I've always been active on the personal side, but not on the fan page side. And one of the things I noticed is that all my likes from Facebook came from either friends who I was already connected to on Facebook, or they came from my blog. So I would say probably 800 likes came from my blog over the years, and that was without me really even doing that much. I mean, I didn't much time. Honestly, clients who are interested in what I'm doing and people who want to listen to what I'm talking about, I'll find that a client of mine, they say, I've been listening to your stuff on Facebook for the last 3 months and I want to talk to you. And they'll engage with me because they feel like they could trust me at that point. The other thing is that I get a lot of people on my email list, and it drives people, and this is the next thing I'm going to be talking about, to webinars. It also drives people to different products I did. I actually did an email launch at the end of December when it was the end of the world craze that was going on. And one of the things that I did was I actually sent this out to my email list, which a lot of those people had signed up because of my blog. And when I sent out the email, I sent it out to people, and I'm going to give people a free coaching session. I'm doing this. I sent out the email December 20th, and then on December 21st, I said, look, if the world ends on December 21st, as they predict with the Mayan apocalypse, then the good news is that I don't actually have to give you the coaching session. If it doesn't end on December 21st, you get a free coaching session. Either way, it's a win-win. So I sent this out, and 5 people who actually signed up for and 2 of them actually did coaching with me. That will probably bring in at least $1,000 in the next 2 to 3 months. Does that give you an idea?
Well, and I know, for me, it's been kind of the same thing, busy constantly and all that sort of thing. And, particularly as you look at perhaps doing some blogging for one of your offline clients, or doing that type of thing. Um, is there any place that a person could get some of this stuff outsourced? I mean, do you ever do that? What type of pointers could you give us on that? Maybe to do something like that, would you recommend it, or is that something that could be considered? Because I know I just a lot of times just don't have the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want the basic blog, there's sites like iWriter or Text Broker who could give you stuff. There's also, yeah, look, I actually do writing for other clients as well. I'm not gonna hide the pitch here. So I actually, if you do want somebody who does that, now generally for internet marketers, I'm on the high side because I deal with a lot of small business owners, and small business owners think I'm cheap. So I'm kind of like in the middle. It's kind of an interesting scenario there. But have somebody do write the articles for you. Another thing is you could actually get some guest bloggers once you've gotten some traction on there. I get that, everyone has the fire, like Kathleen said. You're right, it takes time. And there's no denying that, you might have trouble because you have to get stuff going. One of the things I tell clients is that if you're going to write a blog, you should write 100 topics that you want to write on before you ever even get started. Because that way, if you write 100 topics or you write the titles for 100 topics, and then you choose your top five or your top 10, and you just write on those. And then when you launch your blog, you have 5 to 10 articles that are ready for you before you start. Now that might take time because you might want to write it, but hey, look, if you have time twice a month to write, what I say is if you ever go on, this is one of my favorite sites when I'm writing, and it's very simple. I'm putting it in here in the chat so you have it. It's eggtimer.com. It's a free site. All you do is you amount of time that you want to do something with, and it actually times you as you're going through it. I use this on my own blog. I do something called a social networking minute every single Friday, and I use that to actually time me to see if I can do one social networking action in 1 minute. And the great thing about this is that when you're using that, when you're blogging, I'll time myself to make sure I could write an article in 15 minutes. And I'll just like write it all out and I'll come back and I could edit it. Or you can even go on a site like Fiverr and have somebody edit the entire article for you and have it done. I know people who are here in the US who do really amazing work for editing for $5 for one article. If you just spend 15, 20 minutes writing a basic article. Now that should be at least 300 to 500 words. It should be original, but it's something that could really help you out. There's a lot of different ways to get that going. It's about figuring out how to spend a few minutes every day to watch one less TV show. I'll be on one less Big Bang episode every single month. Then I could actually go out there and I could write one good article in that 30 minutes. Is that fair enough?
And one of the things that you know, I know in the offline scheme of things, a lot of times it's like, well, I don't have very many people coming to my blog, so why should I blog? It's like, what am I going to gain from this? Is there really any benefit, to doing that? And stuff like traffic generation and all the other things that we have to do. Is it worth it for me to actually get out there, put myself out there, and make this happen?
One of the things to address your point, one of the things that a lot of people say is, well, look, I've been blogging for a month and I have no traffic. Well, my first month blogging, I actually started the 20th of January 2010. I only had 10 days the first month, but I had my first month blogging, I had like 67 visitors or something like that. It was absolutely ridiculous. I actually have the number. I actually had Google Analytics from the start. My second month, I had like 100 visitors to my site, and that was me blogging 5 to 6 times a week. So, you're gonna have some of that pain. Now, I had no clue what I was doing when I started. So when I look back at some of those first blogs, it was painfully obvious that I really probably could have completely made everything a lot better and done that. But the thing is, look, it's not going to be perfect no matter what you do. The best thing you could do is you could take action. And everyone has all these problems. The biggest thing you could do to solve the problems is to take action. You take action, all of a sudden stuff starts going away. It's amazing when you look at every single solution, how it does something to your mind. And I understand that you have a lot, everyone has irons in the fire. Believe me, I have tons of irons in the fire. And that's part of the reason, that is one of the reasons why I did slow down also on my blog, because I had to make sure I took care of everything else. But I also know that when I was working on it, it's something that you have to decide the time that's important to you. And if it's important enough that you think you'll grow your business, you'll do it. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep going with this, and we're going to go on to some other topics because I don't want this to be all about blogging. There's two other ways here. So let's keep moving here, and let's talk also about the next one. And this sort of fits in with that is once you get people to the opt-in form, you need to give them tremendous value. The blog, one of the things that you notice here, the blog is to get the traffic. And traffic's a huge part of any marketing strategy. If you don't have people there, no matter what, you're not going to get anyone to buy your product. However, once you get that traffic, you have to give them something of tremendous value. One of the things that I do when people sign up, and I'll talk a little bit more about this later on, is that I use something called e-marketing experience. And basically what I did was, instead of just giving people a free ebook or something like that, I actually created an entire program for free on how to actually build your business. Now, does it have every single thing you'll ever need? No, probably not. But what it does do is it shows you to actually learn it chronologically. You can learn chronologically. I even have different industries, how they can learn stuff about internet marketing and how they develop their lead generation. What I did was I set it up so it's actually completely above and beyond what everybody else is doing right now. Everyone else will give out an ebook, and it's really like, who cares? Everyone has. I set up a complete training series to help people out. So the more value you give, the more people will be interested in what you're promoting. So the next thing that we're going to talk about in going into value is also webinars. So we're on a webinar right now. It's a lead generation tool. When you're doing a webinar, a lot of different ways to go into every single version of how to do a webinar here today. But when you're doing a webinar, what you're doing is it's going back to the idea of delivering massive value. When I'm talking to you about different ways to develop lead generation, you're here because you want to know how to improve your business. Everyone here in this room, at some level or another, wants to get more business. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, doesn't matter what it is, you want more clients. That's why we're here. And one of the great things about a webinar is it's a great way to show a lot of people how to deliver that massive value to them. Because if you can't go out and you can't show it to as many people as you can about how great your services are, what your knowledge is, people aren't going to want to learn from you more. So the benefit that it actually builds your business, and it will help you gain more traction and gain an understanding so people could reach out to you. Your clients, your customers could reach out to you and talk to you more about what you're doing and how they could be helped by the services that you offer, how they could be helped by the knowledge that you provide. That's the webinar, and I'm not going to go into that too much because I think you probably have a pretty good idea of what a webinar is and how it works. The one thing that I will add for webinars is how to promote it, and this is one of the big things I want to ask. Now, the biggest way that you can promote a webinar is, one, you could use email marketing. The other way is you could use social media. And another way is if you want to bring people off the street, I've actually started seeing a lot of small business owners who's starting to pass out flyers to get people to come onto their site. Now, you might need a bigger budget for that, but there's some really amazing power to doing that if you do it correctly, because having people who might not be used to seeing webinars go to a webinar brings more original value to them. Because if you send it out via email, a lot of those people have probably been on one webinar or another. There's a better chance for you sending out a webinar to people who've never been on one through mail and actually seeing that grow. One of the other cool things, and I know we're not talking about this here, it's not exactly a webinar, is Google Hangouts. That thing is so darn cool. If you haven't done a Google Hangout, let me know, because we need to get you on one at some point, because the power behind that, it's half webinar and halfway just like cool weirdness. So I know that's like a little bit off topic, but this goes sort of in that idea of how to build a relationship. What you're doing here is you're engaging people and you're helping them, and you're providing the massive value that they want. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to the third method, and that is LinkedIn.
Hey, Andy, before we go on to LinkedIn, just kind of wanted to make a comment there, that you were talking about webinars to people that, don't normally get on webinars. I think that's probably a good point to bring out here, because most of my members are offline marketers. And, so if you can get an invitation to an offline business, they're not like, us IMers that are constantly getting if I attended every webinar that I got invited to, I'd probably be on a webinar every other hour, every day of the week and twice on Saturday and Sunday. So, getting to the groups of people that are not jaded so much to the webinars and, oh guys, here's another webinar to go see. A lot of times that's a great way to be able to present to, a large group of audience for your offline business, to offline, brick and mortar business owners to come to a webinar. We're not going to get into it here, but there's so many different webinar platforms. We've got this one here that we're using, viralvideoventures.com. That y'all can go take a look at if you want. We've got so many others that are out there. You can do automated replays that look like they're live, and all sorts of other options that you can have for your webinar. So, it's just a point to bring out that can be a very unique, new, fresh idea for presenting your services to offline business owners.
No, you're absolutely right. Actually, one of the things, because you were bringing off the offline, when I was talking to, I've been doing a lot of presentations offline to local business groups about Google Hangouts, and I got a lot of resistance from them initially, and they said, "Well, we don't get this. We want to meet people face to face." One of the things, I'm in Chicago, and I don't know where people are across the country or across the world here, but in Chicago, they're very staunch on face-to-face contacts, even more so than in other parts of the country like New York or LA. People in Chicago, for some reason, it's the Midwest, and they think that everyone has to meet face to face. Well, I showed them Google Hangout, and like, oh, I could see the benefit. And for them to actually be okay with that, that it was really an amazing thing. So just to give you an idea, actually, this is probably one of the better softwares that I've actually seen for webinars, because a lot of those softwares, they don't run that smooth. So this is actually pretty smooth as far as I can tell. I hope everyone can hear me though. So, by the way, can everyone still hear us? Just making sure we're not talking to ourselves. It's always good to just make sure you're not talking to yourself. Do that enough throughout the day. So, cool. Screen is all wonky. Yeah, that's because of the fact that I'm actually in the chat. I'm not surprised that the screen's messed up. If I go like this, does the screen still mess up? And I can't see? Yeah. Okay, so we'll just go back to this right now. Okay, so let me go through the third one here. And this is one that a lot of people don't really consider. And I'm going to bring this up, and the ideas here behind this, it's something where when you're using LinkedIn, it's really one of those tools that is so powerful, especially when you're doing business to business. And this isn't for those who are looking for a consumer market, but this is for those who want to connect with a business to business market. Using LinkedIn, it's probably one of the most amazing tools. Here's why. So this is my LinkedIn connections. I have 1,300 connections for myself personally. When you go into location, which you can't see from the screenshot, I actually have about 950 connections on LinkedIn. What I'll do is I'll actually connect with each person individually through LinkedIn. A lot of times I start off with local people that I'm connected to. But if you could see here in the middle, you could see them. I'm connected to Joanne, and what I'm doing is I want to connect with her. She's a personal banker at MB Financial Bank. You could see here, do you see where, does everyone see where it says send message? I don't know if it's still wonky or not. Brad, just let me know because I don't want to mess up the screen for everybody. Can everyone see where it says send message? It's on the right hand side. You see Joanne's name, her info message. Is that clear? Okay, cool. What I do is connect with people on LinkedIn. And then once I do that, and I use Josh Alexander as an example here because he doesn't mind if I use his information. What I'll do is I'll connect with all the members individually on my LinkedIn page. And the reason why I do this is very simple. I want to set appointments with people. I want to set quick appointments to connect with them, one-on-one basis, so I could learn from them. Some of them become clients, some of them become referral partners, some of them I'll probably, actually the majority of them I'll probably never even hear from again. However, if I do 10 people every day on LinkedIn that I want to connect with, at the end of the year, I'll probably connect, and I only do this during the week generally, so I'll probably connect with about 2,500 people. Now, I could do this on Facebook as well, and I could do this on Google Plus. I really like doing it on LinkedIn first because when I do it on LinkedIn, I'm connecting with business professionals. They understand that the entire reason why you're on LinkedIn is to make money. So if I send them a message saying, hey, if you have 15 minutes, here's the exact message that I send out. I'm making a conscious effort to reconnect with the network on LinkedIn. If you have 15 minutes for a quick phone call, feel free to call me in the next day or two. My number is, and this is actually my number, so if you call me, I'll actually respond. Don't call me now because I won't respond. And then, or let me know what number I should call you at. Either way, looking forward to speaking with you soon. I will generally get about a 20% response rate from people who I send this message to. So if I send this to 10 people every day, I'll get 2 or 3 people who are calling me back from this message. And it basically gives me it gives me fresh connections, fresh people in my network to talk to and build and grow relationships with. And when I talk to these people, I'm learning a lot about how I can help them. So I'm connecting them to other people I'm connecting with, so I'm becoming of value to them. Some of them want to actually connect me with their network, and it's actually growing my network exponentially because I actually get to connect with all these other people. The other benefit is I don't have to leave my house. Notice how I didn't say, hey, look, if you want to meet, let's go for coffee. I did that once on Facebook for people who are in the Chicagoland area. All of a sudden, I'd have a meeting in Orland Park, which is like way far south. Way far south. It's like Wobegon area of the Chicagoland area. And then I had to go all the way up north to like Huntley or something like that, which is at like the far north corner of like Chicago. And I'm like, this is just doesn't make do a 15-minute phone call with people. If it makes sense, we can meet for coffee. Otherwise, though, I get to actually pre-screen them and find out if it's a good match. So I'm not only making this easy for them, I'm making it easy for myself, and I'm having people calling me sometimes as well, so I don't even have to put out the effort to actually call as many people every day, and it generates a lot of leads. So it's a really simple concept, but a lot of people sort of look at this and they're like, wait, hold on. Because everyone's expecting stuff to be really hard on the internet. All you have to do is you have to connect with people that you know, or people that you want to connect with, you know through networking events, that you've met through other social networks, people like that you want to connect with that you think might be good prospects. And once you've connected with them, you actually and you start talking to them and looking to set up calls to actually connect with them even more. And I heard, Brad, you had a question?
Well, right. Just so you get that person on the phone. Hey Josh, this is Brad. Man, I just want to tell you, I've got the greatest business. We do this and we do that, and I want to, sell you this and I want to sell you that. That obviously is not the first approach, correct?
Okay, that's an awesome question. Basically, what happens is, okay, Josh calls me back and he says, "Hey, I got your message on LinkedIn. You want to talk?" Great. And I said, love to connect with you. I just want to, I was just looking to connect with you from LinkedIn. I specifically say this sometimes because sometimes people, when you start up a conversation, it just it doesn't look natural. I said, look, I don't have an agenda for the call. I wanted to connect and learn more about your business. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you do? And people are like, oh, yeah, of course. And then they go into a 15-minute speech about how their services are great and whatever they do. And then if they don't have a 15-minute speech, I really think that they don't like their business. So that's okay. I want the speech because that means they like their business and they love what they're doing. I'm sure I have at least a 15-minute speech. Does that make sense? Okay, so you oh, sorry.
Okay, so now you've got, their 15 minutes of what they do for their business, but then what do you do to follow up with that?
Depends on who you're talking to. A lot of times, okay, like for example, I have somebody I'm talking to, I'm going to do a second follow up with tomorrow. Did a quick 15-minute call, and we thought, hey, we might want to talk a little bit more, see how we could trade business back and forth. So we're actually going to do a longer follow up call. I have another lady that I need to follow up with her. We started talking, and she showed me her website, and I said, oh, we need to talk. Generally I try not to do that, but her site, it, I'm trying to say this as nicely as I can. I could have closed my eyes and actually created a better site. So I said, we need to talk because she wants to use that as her entire lead generation. No. So I'm sorry. Sometimes I can't resist. So I would say, a lot of times when I do this, I go off the 80, that 20% of the people will call me back, which is about average most of the time. And when I actually do this, I would say 80% of the time, people will ask me what I do without me even having to offer it. Now, 20% of the time, I will have to go in and because you could tell, like, actually, that's a really great way of knowing who not to work with because 20% of the time, people won't even want to know what you do. And if they don't even want, that means that's actually a great sign to never do business with them again. I'll tell you what. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go forward and just go through. I think that's about it for right now. So what I just want to talk for people. Actually, I want to see. Does anyone have any one or two questions before I go on? And I'm going to make the screen wonky. I can definitely talk more about LinkedIn. What do you want to know? Uh, One of the things that I would say, if you're looking to make connections on LinkedIn, it's all about the groups. If you want to build connections on LinkedIn, spend time on the groups and building connections there because you could do a lot of cool stuff there. Also, the other thing is it helps you when you're searching for prospects, the right groups make all the difference in the world. So that's my tip on LinkedIn. So let's just do one final question.
Okay, so most of my group is, offline marketers dealing with brick and mobile businesses. So, what groups would be good for them to get involved in? What should they look for?
Okay. The best groups I'd say that are good for people, it is completely going to depend upon what you want to do. A lot of times what I tell people is join your local group first. I know in Chicago they actually have one of the largest like location-based groups in the world. LinkedIn Chicago has like 75,000 members or something ridiculous like that. But if you go all around the U.S., you'll find local groups. So if you type in like Dallas or you type in like Washington D.C. or New York or L.A. or wherever you live, type in your location. You might not find if you live in a small area, you might have to go to like a bigger city, you will find people in your roughly your local area that you could start talking to. Now, the other thing that I would do is start joining the professional groups. If you're in social media, join a few social media groups. There's some really large ones. If you own your own company, there's a CXO group that's really large. The jobs group, for those who are interested in HR, if you're looking for a new job, hopefully you're not because you have so many leads after this, so you're good to go. But if you are looking for jobs or looking to hire people, because I've shown you so many cool tricks, then what you could do is that you could actually join the jobs group, and there's like 450,000 people in that group. It's something insane. I mean, I don't even know how they actually have that large of a group. They've broken down into subgroups as well. The other group is you, if you just look for general interest groups and look for professional groups, and between those type of groups, you'll find whatever you pretty much need. You're allowed up to 50 groups on LinkedIn at any one time. And if you don't have the right group and you cannot find it, then start your own. You're allowed to start up 10 groups on LinkedIn, and you could actually be the moderator for that. And it's not a bad idea just to start up one or two anyways, and just have it filled with all your prospects. I know a lot of people who will set up a group. Like, for example, if I want to meet all real estate agents, I actually have a group called Social Media for Real Estate. And I get a few people who will join it from time to time. I think I might have 50 to 100 people in the group. It's not a large group. I don't do a lot with it. But one of the things I'll do is I'll actually have it out there. And I'll put out a lot of my blog posts so they can see what I'm doing. So it does help, and it adds a little bit to what you're doing. So that would probably be the biggest one with LinkedIn. So I would say just try and find the right group for you. There's not one right answer, and if you don't like a group, leave it and go to another one. So
Well, and let's make mention here. We've talked about him a little bit. Joshua Alexander. He has an incredible way. I've just totally been just dumbfounded at the way he does his business. He networks with people in different groups, like we're talking about here on LinkedIn. Perhaps they're social media, but they don't do website development. That's what he does, is website development. So he gets in social media groups, and he gets social media managers that will refer him business. He'll sell it to them wholesale. They do whatever markup they want, and he does the work for them. So that works out tremendous for him. I know he does, print shops and copywriters and, different things like that refer business to him all the time. And, he does $1,000, $1,200, $2,000 a week in referral business that his bird dogs brought to him, that he met through the various groups and things, networking and things that he's involved in. So I think that's a tremendous business idea for some of my members to be able to look at and go, wow, yeah, that's a great idea.
I'm one of his bird dogs because I give him a lot of website deals. So that's one of the things, because you know what? I hate doing web. Yeah, he is an amazing model. I mean, for those of you who don't know Josh Alexander, you definitely want to talk to him at some point. So he's really smart. Sometimes he might talk a little bit. You might have to like spend 6 months by him so you can actually understand half the things he was saying, but he's probably right about it. So that's with that being said, I'm gonna just move forward. Just for those of you who are looking to for some additional help, one of the things that I've noticed is that most people they have a lot of great ideas with this. They sort of just need that extra push because it's hard to do it by yourself. So if you feel like you're singing and spinning around, this is a Sufi, they spin. So henceforth the reference. Sorry, I had to tell the joke because I just love that picture. And you wanna stop beating your chest and figure out what the heck you're doing. What what we've done, fear not, we actually have a solution so you don't have to fall over. What we've done is we've actually put together, now we have two levels to this. The first one I was bringing up earlier, and that's with the 70 plus lead generation training videos. That's the first step. That's the intro part of it. What we've also done is we said, that's just not enough. Because, realistically, you watch some videos and it'll help you. It'll definitely guide you along. But a lot of times people actually need a little bit more. So what we've done is we've actually created bi-weekly trainings. And what we're doing is the first and third Monday of every month at 7:30, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having bi-weekly webinar trainings to help people understand how to use the different lead generation tools. Now, I've shown you 3 different ways tonight. There are more than that. There are a lot more. However, I can't go through everything in one training, and that's part of why we're doing it bi-weekly. So every other week, we're going to have a different training where we focus on a different aspect online. The other thing is that we're going to record those trainings, because I know the next question that whenever we tell people we're going to have a bi-weekly webinar is they say, are we going to record it? The answer is, of course we are, as long as the technology works. Because half the time the technology doesn't work, and then I don't want to be responsible for it. And people say, well, you told me so. The other thing is that we're actually going to have a monthly generation tool newsletter, just different tools that you could use to help you out with your lead generation. But the other thing that people have is they generally want to ask questions. And that's the biggest thing is you learn by asking questions. You learn by doing. And the biggest way to do that is to do it continuously throughout the month. So what we did was we set up a private membership forum to help people get those questions answered. Now, if that was it, I'd say, okay, great. However, one of the things I've noticed is that most people have a problem with accountability. They have a problem with actually just taking the action on a consistent basis. So what we've done is we're actually sending out weekly activity reminders. And we'll actually tell you, hey, look, this week you might want to do this. This week you might want to take a look at this. And we actually have we're in the middle of developing this, so this is not 100% there yet, but we're actually going to incorporate this. We're actually having a task checklist that everyone can fill out. So, hey, look, have you set up this? Have you set up your Facebook account? Have you set up your Facebook page? Have you done this? And every week, different tasks that you have to check to fill out to make sure that you're actually staying on task. So it gives you an idea of what you need to do. The coolest part, which I thought was really great, is that we're actually going to give you accountability partners. Now, the accountability partners are other members who are in the group. Every month, we partner you up with other members in the group, and the idea is that it's not just me telling you, hey, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, and you getting all bored and mad at me. Instead, it's actually other people in the group, and then you keep them accountable, and they towards the same goal, generating more leads. So you have someone else to talk to, someone else to commiserate with and say, hey, how can we make sure this happens? The other thing we're doing here, and this should have been on the next page, but that's okay, we're giving you free basic hosting for one website. So if you have a website and you want to get that set up, we'll actually give you free basic hosting for that. The other part of this, the icing on the cake, the really cool stuff, is that we're actually going to be giving you one internet marketing service for you for free. So this is our menu for January. Now I'm going to explain this because this is just stick with me here for a second. Every month we'll give you 2 or 3 services that we'll actually offer you for free that we could do for you. So in January we'll give you the option of setting up your social networking profiles, doing a basic WordPress install, or you can get one original blog post. We're not going to do all 3 for you, but you get 1 out of the 3 because not everybody needs the same. When the basic WordPress install, that's what I'm saying, it goes with the hosting, and what will actually install your site, do a basic WordPress install with a free with free hosting. Now you do have to pay for the domain name, but you get free WordPress install and a free hosting, so you actually have a site ready for you so you can get started. So with those in mind, for those who are interested, here is the link, and what questions do you have?
Well, and I want to add my 2 cents in here too, as always. But that was really why I asked Andy to be on this call tonight. My goal is to bring to my members the best quality. I've known Andy for well over a year, and so this is not somebody that I just met somewhere and said, "Oh wow, this sounds like a cool idea," and kind of threw it out there. I've watched Andy. I've watched him, day in and day out on what he does for his business and how he grows his business. And that was somebody that I could feel confident in bringing to the table for my members to be able to learn and be able to get in here. And folks, this one thing each month that he's going to be offering. Like this first one here. I'm taking the blog post. One, but that alone is worth the $37 price tag here, folks, and so to be able to get all of these things, and with 70 lessons of videos, yeah, I know that's kind of overwhelming, and you're like, oh, I'll never get through it. But I think that's what Andy really brings to the table is this step by step. That weekly activity report. Hey, have you done this yet? Have you done this yet? Have you done this yet? And then the accountability of things. I know it's so easy. You get on Facebook and, oh, well, I'm working, but then you get on Facebook and, before long it's like, oh my gosh, my morning's already gone. And then you open up your email and, you got 1,000 emails to go through and, oh my gosh, my afternoon's gone. And you're to the end of the workday and you haven't done any work yet. And then you got to work into the wee hours in the morning to try and finish things up. And that's if you're full-time. And if you're not full-time, God help you, you've got even less time to do all these things. So, I really think this program is going to be great for a lot of us. I'm involving myself in the group, and I think this is something that I can highly recommend. It's just a complete system on how to do the day-to-day tasks that are going to get you the leads. And folks, we have to get in front of the customers. I've got a lot of stuff coming your way about how to get in front of the customers, what to do, how to just accomplish all of those things, because it's been amazing to me as I've changed myself what has been able to be accomplished. And so we're going to be talking about that over the next few months here of 2013 as we begin and look at this new year and really hit it hard to make a difference in our businesses. And so, Andy, I really want to thank you for coming on the call. I appreciate you so much. Hopefully, everybody on the call has learned a lot from this, and it's been very beneficial. And so, Andy, just wanted to say thanks again. I see a couple comments there. Kathleen, this was very informative, and Tom, this was great. Thanks so much. So, thanks everybody for being on the call and for your compliments there to Andy. He's the real deal. He knows what he's talking about. He's been there. He's done that. And definitely somebody that I think that we can really learn from. Our whole deal is carbon copy success. Find somebody who's successful and do it.
Okay, thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I also just gave my Skype information out as well, so if someone does have some questions, feel free to contact me on Skype. So that way, because I do want to make sure I'm answering everybody's questions. I know that. Thank you. I'm glad that I helped you out with this, and I'm with some additional information. And thank you so much for having me. And everyone, thank you so much. And I hope you got a lot out of this.